Good afternoon, everyone in the chat, everyone that's not in the chat that's listening. Welcome to this week's episode of Gaming News at Noon with Salty and Boom. I'm one of your co-hosts, MrBooMStickXL, and with me, as always, the saltiest gaming person in the world who does like to trigger people and finds it funny. Salty, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's a great day, right? It's Hump Day. We got some good trailers out there for comic books. That's not gaming, but
Yes,
it's still nerdy stuff. So yeah, man, it's an awesome time, man. I'm ready to get into the show. We have some great topics, and yeah, let's do it, man.
you know what? Let's open up with that. First of all, if you're not in the know, the Avengers Endgame trailer number 3 dropped yesterday or the day before, right along with the, of course, ticket sales, which now are completely sold out. I was listening to RDX last night, and poor Zolker missed the boat, and he's apparently going to rob someone at the theater to see the film. No, he's not really going to rob anybody, folks, but he wants to because, listen, this is the event of 2019. It is the event of the Marvel Universe, Cinematic Universe, as we know it. Salty, I heard that you did, in fact, get your pair of tickets.
Yeah, man, it was a struggle, to be honest, because it's crazy. The servers were overloaded with AMC. Like, their servers went down for hours and hours. So I was trying. We go to AMC to watch our films, and then I was going to Fandango, and there was like 2-hour waits for digital tickets. But yeah, we ended up getting our tickets. We're gonna be going Friday night, so I'll be deleting Twitter, not my account, but I'll be deleting social media from about Thursday morning until I see the film, because I don't want it spoiled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, listen, as content creators, I, especially me, and I know you as well, we have a real sense of responsibility when it comes to putting these shows together. And I bring that up simply because we're talking about Avengers Endgame, and I haven't announced it yet. And I will announce it live on this show, and I will announce it again in the next couple of days. I will not be having a breakfast with Boom on April 26th. I'm going to take that time to spend with my brother, who I don't get a chance to hang out with very often. You know him on Twitter as Neo Mental. We are going to have a big sit-down breakfast with the family, and we are also going to go check out Avengers Endgame at 10 a.m. on the RPX Theater here in New Rochelle. Yes, just, I guess sad news. It will not be, it'll be the first time actually that we've missed an episode of Breakfast with Boom since its inception. But we will, obviously, recover the following week. Like I said, I saw the trailer. As a matter of fact, I don't know how often this happens to gamers or fans of the movies, but my hairs were standing up. Because I felt like I had spider sense from watching this film. It is the climax of what the MCU was and will be forever. And we know we're going to probably lose a couple of characters. But it's probably the film event of 2019. I cannot wait to go. I'm glad you got your tickets, Salty. I'm glad I got my tickets. And I hope people that are listening got their tickets. But let's move on to the original first topic. And unfortunately, more boo birds have come out for Bethesda. They announced on Twitter and through several interviews that the Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield will not appear at E3 2019. Salty, is this a bit of another black eye or dirt in your eye for this company that cannot seem to escape the fallout, pun intended, of Fallout 76?
I think it's direct correlation to what happened with that game, to be honest. And then also maybe it's because they just decided to show those teasers at the previous E3 a little bit too early with Starfield and Elder Scrolls. But I think it's a good idea, honestly, to just kind of ease off their next games because of the fallout, no pun intended, but of what was going on with this franchise, because it's very important to them. and to everybody else that they get this situation right. And then there's rumors out there that they're going to be using the same broke engine and old engine and all this other stuff. So maybe, just maybe, they're just kind of, you know, going back to the drawing board and saying, hey guys, you know, with the PR team, hey, you know, let's kind of ease off of this and let's kind of retool some things and put some more work in here before we start showing stuff off. But maybe it's just they're just not ready, you know. So I think it's a good thing overall. I don't know.
I mean, look, let's just say this. I mean, to be fair, in Bethesda's, defense, they do have 2 published games coming out in 2019 that are going to be huge, and they're probably going to show them off at E3 because they don't release until later on in the year. And of course, I'm talking about Doom Eternal, which is probably going to be a fall release, and Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is coming out in July. So, I mean, listen, they have a few things to talk about. I am going to say that I'm still a big fan of Todd Howard. I do love the company still. Sure, I was let down with Fallout 76, but I'm certainly not the only one. But you know what? It's going to be interesting to see what they show. Maybe they have a few surprises up their sleeve. I hope the big surprise is not Fallout 3 remastered, because then I'm going to be mad as hell. But you know what? That's again, we can only speculate at this point. Yeah. Let's move on to the next topic. And this is a good one. I think you're going to dig it because you have a daughter that likes, you know, retro games. You know, you're going to school her correctly and show her where we came from. Well, the Sega Genesis Mini went up for pre-order and it's $80. And you say, wait a second, Boom, it's $80. I don't understand. It comes packed with 40 freaking games, man. And you know what? I was a big Genesis kid. I loved it. I was in on the ground floor. My first game, besides Altered Beast, was Tommy Lasorda Baseball, which I played for hours on end. Look, they released the first 10 games. And you see, I understand why they're doing this. This isn't a PlayStation thing where they're going to show you the 10 crappiest games and then drop a bunch of bombs in here. They're doing it to, let the fans get excited for this unit. So here is the list of the iconic Sega Genesis catalog. Here are the first 10 games: Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, which was an exclusive, amazing, Space Harrier 2, Shining Force, an incredible RPG, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, kind of like Dr. Mario, ToeJam and Earl, Comic Zone, which was amazing, Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, and Gunstar Heroes, which in its own right is a classic. The Sega Genesis Mini comes with 2 controllers, 40 games, the power cable, a USB adapter, and the HDMI cable. Salty. I'm definitely on the buy for this. What are your takeaways on the Sega Genesis? And did they do it right, escaping what Sony did with their shitty PlayStation 1 Classic?
Yes, it almost feels like they looked at what everything the PlayStation Classic did and did the opposite, right? They have games that people want to actually play, a lot of games. First of all, 40 is a lot. They have a power cable. They have an HDMI cable. It's coming with 2 controllers that seem like they're pretty solid and give you that retro feel, that classic feel of playing the Sega, which is awesome. The games that kind of stand out to me are Castlevania Bloodlines, which is amazing. Obviously Sonic, man. Like, you can't go wrong with Sonic. And then I think ToeJam and Earl was just one of those good games for me. The thing about it, I've talked about this before. I was a Nintendo dude. What was it? I was calling myself a Switch bot or something like that on Twitter because I'm a Nintendo Xbox fanboy. But my cousin had the Sega Genesis growing up, and he would come over, and play my stuff, and I'd play his stuff. I remember some really, really good games on the Sega. One of my favorites was Jurassic Park. I don't know if you remember that game, but
yes, I do.
That was amazing. I just remember really good times just playing like Sonic specifically and going back and forth with my cousin. But yeah, I think this is going to be good good. I think the price point is pretty good with that $80. I heard it's very well built in my opinion. It looks solid. I like the way the controllers look, and it just seems like a well built system. If I was going to compare it to anything, I would kind of compare it to some of the Nintendo classic consoles that came out, and definitely not the PlayStation Classic. So I think this is a great thing for those Sega Genesis fans, which there's a lot of those in the Xbox community and all around. So I think this is going to do very well for everyone included, right? People selling it, the people buying it. I think this is going to do awesome.
Yeah, I think they're doing it right. 40 games is an incredible amount of titles. The system looks. You know what? You know when you looked at the piece again. This is we're not shitting on Sony, but you got to call a spade, right?
Yeah,
when you looked at the PS1 and you looked at the controls, it just screamed cheap. It just looked cheap. The plastic was that shiny kind of knockoff looking plastic.
Yep.
We know that they were the PAL versions of the games because they didn't. What you talked about it last night in RDX, they didn't want to pay the money, right? They cheaped out, right? I heard that this morning while I was at the gym, and it looks like Sega is doing the right thing. The system looks mint. It's basically it looks perfect. It's perfectly shaped. What you remember at Genesis, just smaller, 2 controllers, 40 games, HDMI cable, $80. Like I said, I'm all in. Again, it falls into the line of Boom buys everything. Actually, it's Boom tries to buy everything. But you know what? Let's move on to the next topic because we have a shit ton of stuff to unpack here. Almost, I think it's 18 topics today. The most we've ever had on any one particular show. E3 2019 the info is starting to heat up, Salty, and Ubisoft has confirmed its appearance at E3 2019, proving once again that Sony might have stuck their foot in their mouths, saying that, some people in the industry are saying that Sony doesn't need E3, but I kind of think that they do. So we know that Ubisoft is going to be there. We already have ideas of what they're going to show. There's talk of Watch Dogs 3, which I'm really amped for because I love 2. We're probably going to get the next Assassin's Creed, which is going to be amazing. The last 2 have been nothing short of Game of the Year quality. Who knows? I'm saying it, and I'm going to be wrong, but I'm saying it again. God damn it. Splinter Cell is going to show up at E3 2019 on that stage, and I've said it for 2 years in a row, and 2 years I was wrong. Let's hope that third is the charm. First of all, let me ask you this, Salty. Them confirming that E3, first of all, in my opinion, Ubisoft is the company to beat in this generation. They have done nothing short of perfect work on almost all of their games, and even the games that released so they stuck with The Division, right? They stuck with it all the way up to 1.8. They stuck with For Honor. The game's amazing. They stuck with Rainbow Six. It's one of the most played games ever. So even when they make a stumble, they still recover. Them saying that they're going to be there sends shockwaves through the industry, saying that E3 is relevant. What's your take on it, Salty?
All right, so I don't know why it cut out for me. Ubisoft is one of those comeback stories because before they're putting out kind of unfinished products, let's be honest, and kind of titles that weren't well received. But like you said, they kind of stuck, they stayed with their products and continued to support them. And Rainbow Six Siege is one of the most competitive, popular, games as a service out there. It's a great model for other companies to follow. And then as far as everything else goes, it's hard to tell with Ubisoft because you mentioned an Assassin's Creed, but I believe that they're taking a year off in between.
Well, it's not coming out this year.
Yeah,
but they might show what's coming out in 2020.
Yeah, so they more than likely they'll show a trailer, right, and then give a release date for that. What's that? The game that I can't remember the name. It's not. I can't think of it. But the game with the monkey and they're in space. They're pirates.
Oh my god. God, somebody in the
chat, if you know what that game is, they talked about it last E3.
Yes,
and I think they're going to show more information on that, hopefully, because it's kind of been one of those games that's been in development for a long time, and it's a game that looks cool, but I want to see more information on it because the scope of the game looks so vast. The project looks very
Yes.
large, and I just want to get like kind of a beta or a release date. What's it? Beyond Good and Evil? There you
Yes.
go.
Thanks, Shane Toblin in the chat for
Yes,
the
yes.
big save. Thanks,
I
dude.
had a brain fart, but yeah, Beyond Good and Evil. I want to see information on that. That would be some good stuff to get there. But honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't know what other titles they're going to be showing because Assassin's Creed's always there. They're going to show content for Rainbow Six and stuff like that. But I don't know. Boom. What do you think, man?
Well, you know what? I'm sure that Division 2 is going to be there. They're going to be talking about because first of all, if again, it's going to be a big topic on this week's Breakfast at Boom. 3 weeks later, what has Division 2 done for the gamer? And it's nothing short of give, and keep on giving until there's nothing left, and then they give some more. I think we're gonna find out more about the the DLC that's coming. I would like to possibly maybe hear something on a new Ghost Recon would be nice. Personally, I would love to see them return to the classic Ghost Recon, pretty much like the one that was just released for backwards compatibility. I loved Wildlands. I absolutely adored it. I thought I first of all, I got 1,000 out of 1,000 achievements in that game, and it just had it had the Predator mission, it had the mission with Sam Fisher, which was amazing. So they kept on supporting it, but I wanted to return to the classic. The classic Ghost Recon that we all know and love. I'm going to throw this out there. It's not going to happen because Rainbow Six is, the behemoth that it is. I would really love, if you want to give me an HD version of it, I'll pay the money. But let's do something similar to Rainbow Six Vegas. Let's get a single player story driven Rainbow Six in there. What are your takes on that, dude? Do you think it's time to see a return of Rainbow Six and the classic Ghost Recon?
Yeah, Ghost Recon, I wasn't really a fan of the Wildlands game for whatever reason. I don't know what it was about that game, but it didn't hit home for me. Kind of off topic here. What about Skull and Bones, man? What happened to that game?
That's supposedly in development. It's going to be a ship battle game. Again, when we heard early rumblings of it, it was supposed to give Sea of Thieves a run for its money, or it's for a treasure chest, if you will. It looked interesting. I mean, again, it's Ubisoft. I love the ship battles in Assassin's Creed, the last couple. Black Flag was amazing when it came to that. So, I mean, could they do a whole game on it? Or could they have just realized that maybe just a game on this is not, maybe they're adding a story.
Yeah, when I saw it personally, the Skull and Bones game, it didn't do it for me. It kind of looked like they took the ship combat out of Assassin's Creed and kind of made it into a game. Personally, it wasn't for me, but man, I know a lot of people out there, they were excited for that game, but I haven't heard a lick on that game. A peep. And usually that's not the best things when it comes to games. You know what I'm saying? When they go dark, maybe they're kind of they're shuffling around and trying to switch things up. But I don't know. Anybody in the chat, if you guys have heard anything about Skull and Bones, let us know if you're excited for it or whatever. I'm a big Sea of Thieves fan, so I have my pirate game, so I don't really need another one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, again, it's like I said, for me, Sea of Thieves, it just doesn't do it for me. I love what Rare did. I support the company. I played it. I actually did a stream. I was a part of a charity stream with Emperor Ambassador Zemi a couple of weeks ago. So I played, and what happened? What happened? We broke our ass finding the treasure chests, right? Right, and we get out of the way. We're getting hunted by the big shark. Thankfully, we got away. Somehow, we got away. We got away from a big skull ship. We dock the ship. We get on there. We're carrying our treasure chests, and what happens? Some assholes jump us, and they take all our shit. Yeah, that's one of the reasons what I don't like about CD. I suppose it's the fun. We'll see. I agree with you. I think that, for some people, they already have their pirate game, and some people want a little bit more violent pirate game, in the Assassin's Creed more, I guess it's lifelike graphics, if you will, more photorealistic stuff. So we'll see. It's pretty interesting. But, let's move on to the next couple of topics, and they're Sony related. and they're really not good news, folks. Listen here. I'm only gonna say this because I don't want to hear any of the boo birds. Like, oh, boom, you're a bot or you're a Nintendo, Tendork or whatever. You got to call the companies out when they make boo boos, right? And the new firmware 6.51 released. And in not in a surprising manner, Salty, there's no option to change your PSN ID without completely ruining your history with PlayStation. Look, there's no doubt that the name change situation was a complete disaster when it launched. It's still a complete disaster. And the fact it has not been addressed means that it's going to do a typical Sony, folks, and they're going to put their heads in the sand and they're going to have the fans forgive and forget. What were your takeaways with the fact that this still has not been fixed?
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on over there at Sony. I don't understand what's the big holdup. It seems like it would be addressed by this point, because how long ago did they announce that this was going to be a thing? Beyond the fact that you kind of read into the details and it's not what it seems to be traditionally. And I was talking about that on RDX. It's kind of smoke and mirrors when it comes to Sony sometimes with some of these announcements. It's like a used car salesman, right? They show you the shiny car and then you get into it and your feet fall through the floor, or there's no air conditioning or some shit. You know what I'm saying? You got to read the in between the fine lines, or be a lawyer to try to read the fine print. And that's the thing with these some of these quote unquote announcements or added features by Sony. It's like you're kind of getting screwed while you're getting something new. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I personally, if I had my PSN ID, I wouldn't take advantage of what they're shipping out there if they eventually get it out, because you lose all your achievements and all that other stuff. It just doesn't seem like a really good deal for me, but they seem to be dragging their feet. I don't know if that comes to kind of they're having issues with implementing the technology or whatever they're doing, but it just seems like it should have been out by now, if that makes sense. Boom.
No, it makes perfect sense, and I think that it's never was. To be quite honest, to quote the good mooch, "I never was." Right. So, listen, it does suck for the person that started playing, that started on a PlayStation, whatever, 3, right, and they were 12, and their gamer tag or their PSN ID is like Ball Slapper 92, right? And now they're adults, right? They're in their 20s. They probably have careers. They graduated college, and now they're at work, and obviously the PlayStation is the more popular system. Hey, dude, do you play Call of Duty? Yeah, man, I play Fortnite, Call of Duty. What's your what's your PSN tag? Ballbag 72. You don't want to tell anybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it sucks for those people that made, again, childish names because they were kids. That's what we did when we were kids. We did stupid things. And keeping with, of course, the black eyes that Sony continues to punch themselves in the face with, all of the Drive Club content is being delisted. And you know what? That isn't so bad. What's worse is that the servers are being taken offline. And if you're a person who spent some money on this game, listen, there are car enthusiasts on the PlayStation brand because of Gran Turismo. And that game, again, take it for what it is. Some people love it, some people hate it, but they wanted and needed a car game. They got it. They bought a bunch of cars, and now the servers are being taken offline. I think it's a real crummy, and you said it last night, Salty, anti-consumer move by Sony. It's a cost-cutting move, obviously. It's it's the Tyrannosaurus Rex syndrome. Really deep pockets, real short arms. That's what it seems like to me. What are your takes, and are you disappointed to see Sony continuing this downward spiral?
Oh man, I'm not a racing fan, but it disappoints me in any situation when I see a publisher discontinue support for a game this soon into the life cycle of the game. Man, let's be honest, this game has not been out for too long, right? And it's kind of concerning when a company decides to just be like, yeah, you know what, we're just gonna discontinue this and that. We're gonna close the servers down, because a lot of people spent their money and invested in this game, and they thought maybe I'm going to have this game for, the long haul, especially if there's people out there that, you know, invested in it digitally, in any means or whatever, you put your money into the product and all of a sudden you can't play that anymore. I mean, it's a bad thing for gaming. This has happened with other games, you know, where the company just feels like, hey, we're not getting our return on investment, so we're just going to close shop down. And it's unfortunate. And I said this on RDX and I got some shit. I already read the comments section. You know what I'm saying? People don't want to hear certain things, but it's the truth, man. I mean, the only reason why you would shut down things this soon into its life cycle is that, you know, you're worried about costs. I mean, all business are. It's cost over how much money you're making in the long run. But to close it down this soon and then to see all these other signs that, you know, they're kind of, you know, trying to be cost effective in certain areas. And then, like I said before, if you look at their overall total value for the company, the net worth, that's why I've said that Microsoft doesn't really worry about Sony. I'm saying, like, if you're this giant company, right, you're worth almost $1 trillion. You're worrying about Google, right? Google,
right, Amazon,
is neck and neck with you. You know what I'm saying? Then you look down the list. Sony's not even like close, right? If you're looking at the scale, they're close to like what 60 billion, I think, like their net worth or whatever. And then, like I said before, so it's worrying to me when I see all these signs pulling out of E3, canceling this game, putting out a bullshit product in the PlayStation Classic that's just half-assed,
canceling PSX.
Yeah, canceling PSX. Just keep going forward with some of the shit that they're doing. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Obviously you guys got the games on lock, right? Which is very important, but there's other things that go into the ecosystem, you know, like the infrastructure for being a gamer and investing in a product, you know? So it's troubling to me just to say this. It's not just a Sony thing. If I see any other publisher discontinue support on a game this soon after launch, it's not something that I like to see, you know?
Yeah, real quick, before we get to the last piece of Sony news, Gotham Guy with the outstanding $5 super chat, he says, great show as always, Boom and Salt, and I agree, Splinter Cell has to happen at E3. With Sony not being there, now's a good time as any. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's going to be a big show for Microsoft. I think that all of the companies that are going to be showing up there should take advantage of adding additional times to the show, which means that you're gonna have to bring more content and more product to the to the show because Sony's not there. And this is again, all eyes of the world are on E3. Whether you believe that or not, I am telling you that happens because we're all listen. Yes, Salty and I content creators, right? There are plenty of people in the chat that are content creators. There are plenty of people in the chat that are just gamers. At the end of the day, we're all gamers. We're all interested in E3, and it's always going to be a thing. So, again, shame on Sony for missing it, but it could be the shining moment for someone. I'm not saying it's going to be Microsoft. It could be Nintendo. It could be Ubisoft. It's not going to be Bethesda. Sorry, but you know what I mean. And keeping with this sounds like I'm pouncing on the rabbits. And if you're a Bugs Bunny fan, you know exactly what I mean. This is, Sony, the story came out that they're going to be, jumping in the, adding refunds to their PSN store. And when I read this, I was like, yes, this is great because last year, right before Destiny 2 came out, my brother had pre-ordered it digitally. And before the game came out, he said, listen, I want to cancel it. I don't want it because he bought the special edition that came with the knapsack because he wanted the special edition. So Sony said, no, you can't cancel it. So he can't. So he went to his credit card and said, listen, pull it back. They're denying me the charge. The game isn't out yet. The game's not out for another 2 months. I want to deny this charge. Don't you know they locked out his PSN account because of it? I mean, if that's not anti-consumer, I don't know what is. So when I saw this, I'm like, okay, folks, they're getting on board. Good for Sony. And then I read the fine print. So if you are a diehard gamer like myself, like Salty, like many people in the chat, and you like to pre-order these games early and often, you get the early content. You pay for it through your points, or you just put it to a card and you forget about it because you don't want to worry about this game. You just want to. It's paid for. It's good. Well, If you read the fine print, it says you have 14 days. Yes, you have 14 days to return this from the date of pre-order. So if you pre-order a game 3 months in advance, the game is getting close, and you're like, man, I can't afford it this month. You know, I got an extra light bill. I had my transmission went. I'm fucked. I can't. Pardon my French. I don't usually curse, so you're screwed. I can't afford it. And you go to cancel it. Guess what? You can't cancel it. And if you go through the credit card route, they're gonna block out your account. Salty. This is again anti-consumer practices that seem to be out of this world. Like, it doesn't seem like it's logical. It doesn't seem to work in business in 2019. Why do they continue to do this to the fan base?
Like I said, they're trying to make that money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. It just seems anti-consumer. I said this before, and like I said, I got responses from the Sony fanboys out there because they're always defending stuff. But as a consumer, you look at this, man, and you read the fine print. Like I said, I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to need to be a lawyer to figure out all these policies and procedures. You know, when you put out this semi good news, it's supposed to be a good announcement,
exactly,
right?
Yes,
refunds and blah 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 blah, and then you get into it, and it's like biting into a shiny apple, and then it has a worm in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of defeats the purpose, or your excitement level drops, because all this fine print, more than likely you're not going to get a refund like you want it. When it comes to these games, it's like not everybody wants to get credit. Like, this isn't a Walmart situation where you go back with no receipt and they give you store credit. You have the proof that you made this purchase, and if you make it with your money, you should be able to get your money back. Not, hey, you get store credit, congratulations, or 14 days with however many times when you made the pre-order. I mean, how often do we make the pre-orders months in advance? You know, so it just doesn't seem like it's a very good deal to me, and I don't know if people are even going to know what the stipulations are for these refunds. So they're going to try to get a refund, and then they're going to get jack shit in return, or they're going to get something they don't want, you know? So I don't know. Just seems very anti-consumer to me.
It's frustrating. I got to be honest with you. You know, listen, I've been a part of the Xbox Defense Force. You know what I'm saying? I have my union card. I've defended Sony. I've defended Nintendo, and of course, I defend Xbox. It's where I lay my head at night. But if they're wrong, you gotta call spade a spade, folks. I'm sorry, Microsoft. When they do something, effed up, Boom comes out and says it. You know, he calls for people by name. Listen, you gotta do better. I'm a consumer, I'm a fan, and you got to do better. Real quick, Elemental P in the chat drops a outstanding $2 super chat. He says, love the show, love the discussion. Well, thank you very much for being here. And of course, the awesome super chat. But Salty, we're going to talk about a subject that is true and dear to your heart. Fortnite had some drama the last couple of days. They were being accused of plagiarizing a game character skin that recently was added, and it turns out that the kid artist doctored when he drew it, and he was lying. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be the first one to say, when I heard this, I wrote it Epic, and I said, shame on you if this is true, because these artists are small, and then as big as your company is, you shouldn't do stuff like that. It's really, really in bad taste. Turns out the kid was a liar, and I got to be honest with you, that enrages me even more. Not so much that Epic got egg on their face for a second. The fact that the kid made a big deal and he was lying. Listen, folks, this Fortnite stuff. I'm going to say this, and this is actually coming from Mrs. Boomstick when she heard the story. Don't put your artwork on social media without copywriting it first, because this is what happens. Now, I can't say this exactly what happened to this artist in Epic. I'm saying that if you're going to you want to get people's, get the feelers out there for something you're doing, please copyright your stuff. before putting out. Salty, you were aware of this. You know, Fortnite, biggest game in the world, no doubt about it. Gets egg in the face. Again, the torches and pitchforks came out for Epic, and then I had to put them back away because the kid was lying, and I kind of felt like a bit of an a-hole. But I admit it. I didn't blame them. I said, listen, if it's true, Epic, shame on you. Turns out that they were telling the truth. What were your takeaways from the kid lying about being his artwork being plagiarized?
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me in this day and age. When it comes to the victim culture or whatever, it's just these people are just trying to capitalize off of a successful company and just companies in general. It's kind of like people that spill coffee on them and then say they didn't know the coffee was hot or any of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are just trying to make an easy buck or get popular or get famous off of some dumb shit that they make up. And this doesn't surprise me one bit that this guy lied. That's why, first and foremost, I've said this before, in any situation online, do your research and don't go immediately to getting triggered and messaging these people. I know you felt that way, Boom, but at the same time, there's a lot of situations where we don't know the full facts, right?
Yes, you're right.
We
Absolutely,
get
100%.
Just anything, news stories, whatever, right? We get these stories, you read them, you get triggered, you have these emotions behind the story, and then boom, you send out a message, or boom, you put out this tweet or this and that, and then the facts come out, and then it just kind of everybody gets egg on their face. So it gives us a little pause to kind of take time and to do some research with anything on social media and the internet, and just make sure that what we're responding to and putting our investing our emotions in actually has some kind of validity behind it. I'm very disappointed in whoever tried to do this, man, because it's just they were just trying to capitalize on just, hey, I'm the victim.
Yeah,
they stole my stuff. You know,
the kid's name was Pyro Zombie, and he posted a cached screenshot of the artist's library from Google Cache and compared it against a more recent edition. Prior to the incident, the design in question had not existed. So, I mean, again, it's one of those things. You said it. You know, this is a nobody making a name for himself, not in a good way. This is like getting arrested and getting your picture in the paper. Not the way to go about getting famous, folks. Okay, it doesn't work. It always ends in fire and brimstone. So don't do it. But you know what? Let's talk about the next topic: Super Smash Brothers, something that is true and dear to both of our hearts. Joker, who is the next DLC character from Persona 5, unfortunately, and I guess it's fortunately for the fans, Best Buy did another blunder where they put it out there that Joker will be coming to Super Smash Brothers supposedly by the end of the month with and again, I think they're going to have some sort of a bundle. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to include Persona 5, because that's also a rumor that it's going to be happening, but it could be a Smash Brothers bundle that includes maybe a special edition Joker from Best Buy. Are you excited to see Joker in there? And I mean, listen, the more characters, the better for Smash Brothers.
I could give two shits about Joker from Persona, but to be honest, I think it's good for Smash Brothers, because there are a lot of fans out there that do like the Persona series. But Best Buy, it was funny because I was seeing some things online and people were like, man, that Best Buy Direct was amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like the Nintendo Direct, because the stuff they were leaking, man, it's crazy. I think it's a perfect spot for Persona to be on the Switch. Let's be honest. It has a huge following in Japan and as in other markets as well. But man, if you look at some of these leaks and the potential Nintendo Switch lineup for 2019, my God, dude, it is crazy. So I put this out there and said this before. 2019 is the year of the Switch. NPD wise, they're going to be on top for pretty much the whole year. Okay.
Yeah.
And the potential list, boom, is insane, man. Like you got Pokemon Sword and Shield, Mortal Kombat 11, Cuphead, Fire Emblem, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Like I can go on and on. Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, Astral
Yoshi
Chain.
just released last
Yeah,
Friday.
Yoshi's
Amazing.
Crafted World. There's from Best Buy. They're talking about a Metroid Prime trilogy.
Oh, give me just take my
You know
money,
what I'm saying?
please.
Yeah. So look at this list, man. Persona 5, Wolfenstein Youngblood, Doom Eternal. The list goes on. And like you said, Yoshi's Crafted World already came out. And then I'm in love with Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, man. That game is outstanding.
Great game, dude.
But it's just they're hitting on all cylinders. So I'm not surprised that they're going to be adding Persona on there because they're just doing. It just seems like everything they're doing is right now. Like they could do no wrong at Nintendo. I just saw news that a new controller's coming out with a 3.5 millimeter jack.
Yes.
They're putting, you have game chat in there. Eventually they're going to get parties in there. Let's be honest. So once they get parties and they get that jack implemented, man, I'm telling you, dude, the third party support, the first party support is second to none, man. You can't tell me that there's any other game company that has a better first party support than Nintendo right now.
I think it even trumps Sony's.
Yeah, so it's just they're hitting on all cylinders, man. So.
Yeah, the leak, the apparent leak was spotted by Twitter user Riley Little. I'm assuming he's a Metroid fan. And look, I'll put it to you this way. With Smash Brothers, Salty, the leak would not be a big deal if Nintendo would just give players a solid release when it comes to this DLC. I know that they're working hard on it, and I know that all of these are new characters, so they don't want to box themselves in. But at the same time, the Smash Brothers fan base is rabid, to say the least. And again, it just, any information about Smash, especially Joker, because like I said, I'm probably not going to use him because I'm not a fan of Persona. I tried it. I bought Persona 5 and I gave it the old college effort. In fact, I bought the collector's edition. It just wasn't for me. And you know what? I say this all the time, Salty. Not every game is for every gamer, but I gave it the old college effort. But I'm excited for people who are Persona fans and are going to want to play as that character. That's really good news. Yeah.
Real quick, So Shitty in the chat said, other than the Nintendo games, who's excited to play the third-party games running and looking their worst? Here's the deal: the selling point with the system is a lot of people with the casuals, excluding the hardcore like ourselves in this ecosystem. They don't really worry about the power too much or 4K, to be honest. But one of the big selling points to the Nintendo system is that you can play it portable and you can play it docks. You can play these third-party games in portable mode. And I've heard lots of reliable sources that Mortal Kombat 11 looks and plays very well. So that's just an example of a game that you typically wouldn't be able to play on the go. And you can now. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, "Oh my God, I never play my Switch on the go." I know, Boom, you play it docked, right?
Yeah, but
a lot of times,
it's mostly docked. But every now and again, if I'm going to be in a doctor's appointment or something, and I'm really into a game, listen. When I was playing Zelda almost all the time, when I would go pick up my wife at work, I'd get there early just to sit in the car and play Zelda.
Yeah, and then So Shady again, he said xCloud is coming and it's going to destroy the Switch's portable option. But until you could tell me that this input lag's not an issue and I actually see proof of concept, that's just all pie in the sky dreams, right? So the Switch is a real tangible thing right now, and it's selling like gangbusters.
First party, man.
Yeah. So first, it's just the whole package. You know what I'm saying? So that's the selling point to all these things.
Yeah, I mean, listen, look, I'll put it to this way. I'm a huge Switch fan. I have about between 40 and 50 games. Not sure I'm always buying games for it. I didn't purchase Yoshi. I'm going to pick it up this week. I love Nintendo. I have since I was 15 and I got the NES for my birthday. I've been gaming a very long time and I have never moved away from Nintendo. Mario, Zelda, Samus, just the character list. I'll put it to this way. In my opinion, the first party that Nintendo has is comparable to what Disney has in their IPs. That's how important I think it is to gaming. That's how important I think it is for Nintendo. They're that powerful of a company that their IPs are going to have their own theme park. And you can't say that about many other, IPs. So listen, if you're a fan of Nintendo, get ready for an expensive 2019 because you're going to be spending some bucks. Let's move on to the next topic, Salty. Cyberpunk 2077 will not have game over screens. According to an article that I pulled, no game over screens for failing a mission, and that's going to give a lot of players who stress about missions and how it will affect their story a lot less to worry about. According to the report, the only game over screen you're going to see in Cyberpunk 2077 is when you die. No matter how badly you mess up on a mission's objectives, there will always be a way to continue playing without having to reload from a checkpoint, provided you don't die. According to CD Projekt Red's Quest designer Philip Weber, who recently spoke with the German website GameStar, the development team approached the mission design with an overarching question: what is the stupidest thing the player could do? With that philosophy in mind, quests have been designed to allow all kinds of players' behavior, ensuring that the game never fails the players for engaging in in a very strange way or different types of activities. So he continues with Salty. For example, Weber suggests that while protecting an important client, there's nothing stopping you from calling in at a restaurant for a burger. If the client dies while you're getting your fill or food, then the game continues on. Just because you failed the job doesn't mean you failed the game. Holy shit, that's great. So if you don't really care about someone, that's maybe he's an asshole character, and you're like, you know what? I don't care if you die. I'm going to get a pizza. And he dies. Your game still continues. How hilarious. And more specifically, Salty, how awesome is that forward thinking?
It's good, man. I feel like they're trying to make this game as immersive as possible, because just with some of the things that they're talking about with the way the game world works, I think this just kind of goes along those lines, like the game over screen. That's kind of a video game concept that kind of takes you out of the immersion. But if you take that away and then you just kind of put in other implementations of different features, I think that it kind of makes it more of an immersive factor, which is amazing with this game. They talked about cutting down on the loading screens and all this other stuff, and the cutscenes. And looking at that, what was the gameplay video? It's like 50 minutes of that. It just gets me hyped for this game, and it looks like they're just taking it to the next level, right? With the open world concepts and what you can do with your characters and the interactions in the world. And I dig that, what I'm saying? They're trying to evolve the open world game, and I appreciate the steps that they're taking to make this game stand out from other games in the pack. And that's why CD Projekt Red is a step above the rest, is because they do these type of things, that they think outside the box. They're like, well, how can we make it more immersive or better for the player? Just some of these small things, like seeing a game over screen, you think that's not the biggest thing or the biggest deal breaker, but if they could remove it for some and improve people's immersion and their gameplay experience, I think that's just a thing that sets it apart, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. As a matter of fact, look, it's going to be game of the year whenever it comes out. It's probably going to be coming out in the next generation. And to say, and this is a bit ballsy, because we don't, we've seen what the game looks like. We don't know what it's going to look on the next gen consoles if it releases then, because we know it's not coming out in 2019, and I'm okay with that. But if it comes out, let's say early next year, it could be considered the game of whatever generation it's in. And saying that it's going to overstep The Witcher 3 in itself is incredible to think. When you think of The Witcher 3, what they did with that game and all of the DLC, Cyberpunk has a potential to overstep that, and that is an amazing game in itself. So we'll see. But like I said, whenever this comes out, it's game of the year. End of story. It's going to be a big game. I think they said it's 3 or 4 times bigger than The Witcher, when The Witcher was overwhelmingly large. I didn't beat it, was so big. I know you loved it. And if you're saying it's 4 times the size of The Witcher 3, well, you're going to be playing this game for years on end. But let's move on to the next topic. And you know what? Shame on me as a host for not pulling this right out of the hat after the Nintendo topic. Persona 5 is, Atlas has been teasing a big announcement for both April 24th and April 25th. And I think it's safe to say, Salty, that one of these announcements is going to be a Switch version of the lauded JRPG that everyone loves. The original launched in 2017 for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3. As it stands of this show's date, they've shipped over 2 million copies. Now, here's the thing. When you say 2 million, you think, wow, that's a lot of copies, right? 2 million is a lot. And in itself, it is. But it's the same token, it makes me wonder what their expectations were for. Listen, I don't know what went into designing the game. It was built from the ground up for both the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. I'm sure they spent a lot of money on it. It does make me have a bit of a head scratcher that Atlas and Sega don't decide to ship this on everything. You know what I'm saying? To get more sales. 2 million sales from 2017. We're in 2019. Do you consider that a success, Salty?
It's hard to tell, honestly. It depends on the person you talk to, right? Attach rate and sales and what's successful and what's not, right? 2 million is successful to some, and to some it's a failure, right? It depends on if you have shareholders that you need to impress, or what sales expectations are, and if you had previous entries, and how they sold. There's so much that goes into it. I think that success is judged on a personal level, and I think that the only people it matters to in reality are these publishers. So, like, if it's successful for them in their eyes, good for them, right? I'm not making a dime or a penny off of any of these sales, so it doesn't really matter to me or anybody else. But it does matter for the success in the future offerings of the games and the publisher. But I think it's pretty successful, honestly. In those genres, 2 million is pretty good. I think that when they're going to be putting it on the Switch, I think it could probably sell like a million.
It might sell more. It could
million,
match.
Right?
Yeah, it could match, dude.
Right.
Listen, you know it, like you know as well as I do, right? And even though we're not starving for content because we support multiple consoles, we do spend a lot of money on the Switch, right?
Yeah,
so we both do. The Switch fan base is rabid, right? They are content starving, if you will, and this has a possibility to match what was on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3. Remember, that's 2 consoles, 2 million. Again, I'm sure it's considered a success, but wouldn't the company want to make more? I guarantee, I'll put it this way. If you release this for both the Xbox and the Switch, I guarantee you between both consoles, they'll sell 3 million copies. They'll one up what was sold on the PS3 and PS4. Again, because there's so many people on the Xbox platform love JRPGs and they want them and they will buy them. Yes, is it a niche franchise? Is it a niche genre? Sure, but there are still 45 million consoles and 25 plus million consoles out there for the Switch. That's 70 million consoles, folks. You don't think you're going to sell 3 millions of Persona 5? I think you're going to sell 3 million copies of that, but listen, only time will tell. I'm going to be glued to the TV because I'm really interested to see what they're going to do. And you know what? Look, if you're a fan, you're probably going to get your wish. I really think it's going to come to Switch, but I also think they're going to surprise a lot of people and release it for the Xbox. Right now, Phil Spencer's in Japan, right? He's back in Asia. And he's trying to make those connections. We want. You talked about it last night, Salty. Getting the Devil May Cries, right? Getting those Japanese kind of titles that would normally skip the Xbox. We're getting now, and that's thanks to Phil.
Yep. Man, a perfect example of this is Nier Automata.
Yes.
I
Great point.
never would have played that game if they didn't bring over to Xbox, and I'm happy they did because I enjoyed the game thoroughly. I think it's one of those things, and I think it did pretty well on Xbox. It probably didn't, sell. I don't even know what the sales numbers were, but the fact that we're getting these type of games on Xbox is just speaks volumes to the business relationships and the bridges that have been formed by Big Deal Phil. You know what I'm saying? So he's going over to Japan and forming, shaking hands and holding babies. Like I said, he's this people person,
Yeah.
and it's starting to pay off. So who knows what this next trip over there to Asia is that going to actually bring or put to fruition, right? We're going to get different things that come from this business trip. I don't know if it's going to be this E3 or maybe then the E3 after that, but it will bring products or games over that we normally wouldn't have gotten before. I mark it down,
Yeah, no, you're right. And you know what? Gamers win, right? Regardless of what flag you fly, if you support all three consoles, you probably bought Persona 5 before. Maybe, there are so many fans. Like you take a fan like Luca, for instance. I'm a big fan of hers. She's a friend of the show. She loves Persona 5, and she would probably buy it again. I'm not speaking for her, but she's such a big fan that she might double dip. So would so many other people, fans of Atlus's games, but more specifically Persona. So it's interesting. I'm gonna, like I said, be glued to the TV. First, I have to thank Shane Tomlin in the chat, who first of all bailed us out with Beyond Good and Evil 2. Thank you for that. And he drops an incredible $5 super chat, and he says, "Hey, is Borderlands remaster on USA Xbox Store? Love the show, guys." Well, yes. First of all, yes, it went live this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's up right now. I think there's an issue with Microsoft's servers, and not just Xbox Live. Right before we went live, I was having a real difficult time getting my my show notes sent to my teleprompter that I use, that's Windows based. And it kept telling me the servers are down. So I had a bit of a meltdown prior to going live, but thankfully I found a back end way to get it, to the teleprompter in front of me so I could read the show notes and not sound like a boo. But let's move on to the next topic, Sony. Salty. My goodness.
It's all good.
Because of the ridiculous success of Apex Legends, and it is successful. I tell you, I'm a little shocked at this. Black Ops 4 Blackout is getting not only a new Battle Royale map, but the whole game is going, that particular part of the game is going free for an entire month. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 receives another huge content drop today, Salty, as its Battle Royale mode Blackout goes free to play for a month to celebrate. So that's what they're saying. Celebrate the release of another map for the high concept PvP mode. It's going to be Alcatraz, the famous island prison situated in San Francisco Bay, has previously been inspiration for several Call of Duty zombie maps, according to Treyarch, who is the developer. Salty, with Activision and Treyarch offering gamers a free version of the Battle Royale mode for Call of Duty Black Ops 4, does this mean the end of this mode, for Call of Duty, future Call of Duties? Because can they really compete with the Fortnites, the PUBGs, and now, of course, the incredible Apex Legends?
I don't know if it means the end. It just the writing's on the wall, what you have to do to compete in this genre per se. And this has been rumored for a long time that they were going to go this route. They just kind of been dragging their feet. It's also been confirmed that the next entry in the Call of Duty series is not going to have a battle royale, right? The Modern Warfare game that's going to be coming out, the next game in the series, it's not going to have one. So if they want to have a battle royale game, it has to be this one, right? They're going to be making it free to play temporarily. I think that's just going to test the market and see how well it does. And this is a direct correlation or response to what is happening with Apex Legends. It's blowing up, right? So why would you play a Call of Duty Blackout when you could play Apex Legends that arguably does a lot of the things better? In my opinion, it does pretty much everything better. And there's a paywall behind getting into the other one, you know, so they need to come out with more maps. They need to come out with more content. I mean, copy the ping system if you want to do that. Everybody's doing that. And they just need to be more competitive. But this is going to be Call of Duty's way to be into the Battle Royale. I think they're going to continue to support this even past when the next Call of Duty comes out, the Infinite or whatever, the next entry in the series. This is going to be their Battle Royale, you know? So this is going to be the game that they support, and they'll keep adding maps and guns and skins and add to their battle pass. That's my opinion, the way this is going to go for them. So yeah, are they going to continue to add this to games in the future? Probably not. This is going to be their game going forward.
Oh, so you think they're just going to add on to it as the years progress?
Yeah, I think Activision, this is going to be their Battle Royale for Call of Duty.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
Okay. That actually going to be I'm glad you answered that, because that was going to be my next question. Would you see a new Battle Royale game in another Call of Duty, but would it make sense?
No, like they have the foundation set, and it's kind of a games as a service model, right?
Yes.
The fans are building up their lineup of characters and emotes and skins and all this other stuff. So why would you want to restart all that? Because like with these other Battle Royale games, it's a thing to be able to get these characters and emotes and stuff like that. Like with Fortnite, you have this pile of things that you've accrued over the time of the game. People wouldn't want to go to a new Fortnite and leave all that behind. Fortnite continually changes the map and does all this stuff to keep the game fresh. They're not going to create another game. So that's why it doesn't make sense to be like, hey, everybody go to a new Battle Royale. Like just make a new map, make new guns, put new characters in there, and it feels like a new game. Like, why would you even have to make a new Battle Royale for the new Call of Duties? This is going to be their Battle Royale. So I think it will continue to be successful, and it will bring in new fans when they break down that paywall. It's going to be temporary for right now, but I think eventually that's just going to go completely free to play. And my guess is when it goes complete free to play is when the next Call of Duty comes out, right? They just go complete free to play, and they continue to support the game going forward.
Yeah, it makes sense. What you're saying makes sense. You know, throw it out there for more people to play. I mean, will it be relevant by then? Who the hell knows?
Who knows, right?
Right. You know, only time will tell. I mean, again, the Call of Duty fan base is loyal. There are so many fans that are still playing it. But you know what? Again, there's so many different choices that you don't have to be locked down to one, and they are boxing themselves out.
Real quick, I think that the reason why they developed the Battle Royale is because they didn't have that traditional campaign.
Yep.
So in order to sell it to their customers, they couldn't just be like, hey, we're coming out with zombies and multiplayer. That wouldn't have went over well. So since they threw in a BR, people were willing to kind of be like, okay, we got enough content to make sense of our $60 purchase, if that makes sense. So.
No, it makes perfect sense, as a matter of fact. And like I was saying, them charging for this mode is boxing themselves out from customers, because there are so many free-to-play games that are better. Two of them, Fortnite and Apex Legends. So if they don't make a change, they're just gonna lose fans. What can I tell you? Shame on Activision for not being more forward thinking. But let's move on to the next topic. If you're a fan of the incredible Burnout series, and who isn't? And you have been patiently waiting for a true successor, I might have the gaming topic to you. According to a story that I pulled from DualShockers, Dangerous Driving was shown off at PAX East. And to say that this game does not scream Burnout 3 with better graphics, it would be considered an understatement. At PAX East, a few of the journalists from DualShockers, they played Dangerous Driving, and it is a spiritual successor to the Burnout series by Three Fields Entertainment, a studio founded by Alex Ward, Fiona Sperry, and Paul Ross. Now, those two, a couple of those names should mean something to you, because Ward and Sperry previously founded Criterion Games, the studio behind the Burnout series, and in 1993. With that kind of name recognition, I certainly have high expectations to this game. And Salty, I sent you over the video. First of all, the gaming world needs a new Burnout. I mean, like a real Burnout with crashes and speed and slow-mo crashing. I need that in my life. I think the gaming world does as well. Did you watch the video, and what were your takes from the new title from Three Fields Entertainment?
I did watch the video. I'm not a big racing fan, so when I pick up a racing title, it's more than likely just going to be the Forza series.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but I do see the appeal to this game with the crashing and everything like that. It does look like it's pretty crisp gameplay in itself, and it looks pretty fun. I mean, in the arcade sense of things, you're driving, you're going fast, and I think it's gonna be a good title for a lot of gamers that are fans of that genre. But I myself, it's not my bag, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, well, listen, I again, it's probably going to be a $20 title, maybe $30, but
Yeah.
I'm in on the ground floor. I just got to give a big shout out to D Almighty in the chat. He says they should bring back Motorsport. Now, if you don't know what Motorsport is, that launched on the PlayStation 3 and is by far one of my favorite Sony exclusive racers, 10 times over Gran Turismo. MotorStorm was amazing. And I got news for you. I wish Sony would do some sort of a compilation with 1, 2, and 3, give it an HD makeover and charge me $60. Guess what? I'm buying it. I was a huge MotorStorm fan, so good shout out on that. But listen, if you're a fan of Burnout and you've been waiting, I say head over to YouTube, because I don't have it in the show notes, and just type in dangerous driving, and you're gonna get a chance to see the video. It looks phenomenal. Again, if you're a fan, you're going to love it. Let's move on to the next topic, Salty. Mortal Kombat 11 continues to impress with pretty much all the trailers and information that have been released. And it appears that not only is the single-player story mode the best in the series, but the towers that players can traverse by beating opponent after opponent now have something that's going to involve tag teams. And that the series has not seen that since Mortal Kombat 9. It is a limited time mode. I guess they're testing the waters to see whether or not it does well. Salty, first of all, how excited are you for Mortal Kombat 11? And does the tag team mode, the tag team tower mode, really get you excited?
Man, I'm super excited for Mortal Kombat 11. The more I hear about it, the more my excitement level grows. I saw people playing the beta. I wasn't in there, but I
Me
saw the way
either.
these
I missed
characters are performing. The story looks top notch to me. Just everything, the design, the customization with the characters, and how it's not going to affect your battles. Because you remember in Justice 2, you could get like different tier levels of items that you can earn in the game, and that affects your power level or whatever the hell they wanted to call it. And then it kind of it creates an imbalance, right? When you're fighting other players.
Yes.
So they took that out.
Now it's just cosmetic.
Yeah, it's just cosmetic, but that in itself is cool. I mean, with Scorpion, I think that his chain thing has different like the grab item to it. I don't know what you call that, but it has different looks to it. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, it's whatever it is. You could just make your characters look the way you want to. I think that's a cool aspect. It makes me want to play the game more. And then with this tag feature, it's just more options and more game modes. And who doesn't like that, right? I mean, who doesn't want more options when it comes to these fighting games? Because I think that they can get a little bit repetitive at times. I'm not like a number one fighting fan, but there's two fighters that I love. I love Smash Brothers and I love Mortal Kombat, and they're two completely different games, but they fill this role for me when it comes to my fighters, and that's the ones I choose. And I think they're the top of the game when it comes to fighters. So this is just another way that it's a selling point for the game. It's not like I'm going to go out and buy the game because they have these tag team battles, but it's something that I'm going to play. I'm excited for it. So they just keep putting more and more information out there, and it gets me that much more excited. I can't wait to get into this game.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us. I mean, again, this shouldn't surprise anybody. I have the I hate saying it out loud. The $300.
Oh.
Yes, it was a collector's edition for Mortal Kombat that comes with the wearable Scorpion mask. I will be doing an unboxing.
Heck
I'm
yeah.
going to try and get it out on that Friday. It comes out on well, it's not a Friday. I think it comes out on a Tuesday. It comes out on April 23rd. That's going to be one of my bigger unboxings because it's so goddamn expensive. But I'm really looking forward. I like playing the tower mode because you get different, characters that you fight, and there's always something at the end of it. I do agree with you, though. The customization in this game is going to be like unlike anything before it, where it's just cosmetic. So your Scorpion is going to look so different than mine, and that's going to go with all of the characters down the road. So when you go online to fight people, yeah, sure, you might come up against another Scorpion, but it's going to be a different looking Scorpion. Almost, I guess you can maybe you might even consider it a different Scorpion, and it just brings more fun to your fights. Unlocking stuff is always fun. We love these looter shooters. Well, we can have that in our fighters, and the more options you have as a player to customize your character the way you want, I think it's going to be awesome.
Yep.
Well, listen, we are rolling, dude. We are now at topic 14, and we have more, folks. So stick around. Borderlands 3 trailer has gotten most gamers excited. Salty and I can both agree that whenever this game comes out, it's a day one purchase. And thanks to the amazing community member, Dreadpool, who's in the chat, who sent me a picture of the release date from the official GameStop website, that the Super Deluxe Edition, which is $100, which is the one I'm going to get, is available for pre-order and has a release date of 9/13/19. Now, there was some controversy. They sent out a tweet, and it was deleted, and it had this date. So, folks, I can tell you this. It's coming out on September 13th. Salty, first of all, I heard you talking about it on RDX. Some people are poo-pooing it, saying, oh, my God, it's just another Borderlands. Well, then keep it moving, folks, because it's the Borderlands that I want. It has 1 billion guns. It has cel-shaded graphics, funny humor like we're used to. If you don't like Borderlands, don't complain. Just keep it moving, but don't shit on people who are excited. Salty, let's talk about this for a second. How excited are you for Borderlands 3 in 2019 and the fact that we have an official release date of 9/13/19?
First of all, I'm super excited. I'm excited to return to the originator of the series. I think it's just like it's a good thing. It almost feels like unreal to me when I'm looking at the box art for this game. And I'm almost waiting for it to be like an April Fool's joke because it seems like it was never going to happen. Am I right, Boom? Like we've been waiting so long for a Borderlands 3. We got Battleborn and all this other shit happened, like the pre-sequel. And we've just been waiting as fans just for this game to come out. And now it's finally here. It's kind of comical to me to hear some of the haters out there just saying, oh my God, this game it looks like DLC for this and that. And it's just like, what are you guys expecting, right? What do these game developers need to do to make you happy? You know what I'm saying? Do they need to change the game and make it into Tetris 99 for you, and then you'll think it's a good Borderlands 3? Like, what do they need to do to appease you guys? The fact of the matter is some of these people just never are going to be appeased. They're always going to be negative on this shit, and they're always going to find something to nitpick, and that's just the way it is. But I just think this is a perfect date for them in this series. It's coming out of the long summer, right? You get into September, people are looking to start buying shit again. That September month's going to be before some of these other titles come out in the holiday rush season. I just think that the September month is a perfect month for Borderlands. The hype is going to continue to build. I think they did a perfect PR marketing strategy with this game. There were some blunders that happened at PAX, which were unfortunate, but the fact that they're remastering the Borderlands 1, which I'm excited to get back into, and they've changed it. They've added 4-player co-op. They changed the way you pick up items because it was kind of annoying in that game.
It was a little annoying for sure.
So they changed that, made the quality of life changes to that. So people are going to get
map
back.
also.
Yep. Yep. They're going to get back into the Borderlands original game. They're going to start playing that. So that's going to build the hype. They're putting out that 4K update for the Handsome Collection. So people
Went live
can play
today.
that.
Yep.
We went live today. So people are just going to build their hype levels up for Borderlands 3, and then it's going to drop in September, and I think that it's going to sell gangbusters, honestly. So I just think the trailer did it for me. I don't know what people were expecting to see. I mean, the cell-shaded graphics, it's hard to change that in a way that's going to look...
That's what makes Borderlands Borderlands,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like, I don't think that people understand or value the cell-shaded graphics. And I think that, like I said before, not every game needs to be photorealistic. Not every game needs to look the fucking same. Part of my language. It's just people expect the same things out of every game, and that's just not the way it needs to be, man. I appreciate the cell-shaded look. I think it's what makes this game stand out. I appreciate the procedurally generated guns, the billions of guns. I think that makes this game stand out. And the comedy was there in the trailer. People are saying the comedy wasn't there. I mean, it's just a trailer, dude. What do you guys expect? There was a saxophone solo in there, and it was funny. And, you know, the character models look cool. I mean, it's a trailer, guys. I mean, there's only so much we can take away from a trailer, but people just immediately want to shit on stuff, everything, you know? So it's crazy, man. I'm excited. This is day one for me, you know.
Yeah, you know what? The one thing that unfortunately this gaming community is never going to get away from is I don't want to pull a line from you. The negative Nancys that want to come out and ruin. Sorry if your name is Nancy. It's no offense to you.
Yeah,
I want to throw that right out there because you know that you can't put everybody. Not every Nancy is a negative one. We want to make that perfectly clear on this show. But if you are a negative Nancy, you know, sometimes it's nice just keep your opinion to yourself if you don't have nothing nice to say. My dad taught me that when I was raised. He said, son, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. Well, if Borderlands for you is just more Borderlands and it's just not your bag, well, you know what? Guess what? You don't have to buy it, but you also don't have to poop on anyone's parade and really ruin it for everyone. And I got to tell you something. You know, you said there was a bit of a hubbub at PAX East, and I watched the stream. I watched your stream, as a matter of fact. And yeah, I felt bad for Randy Pitchford. Obviously, he was pissed. But at the same time, look how many people are still effing talking about Borderlands 3. Guess what? It was a PR nightmare that blossomed into a PR flower, and everyone's still talking about the game. Why? Well, I mean, besides 3 coming out, and it's going to be amazing, you have the pre-sequel and Borderlands 2 getting the 4K patch today for free. And they just released Borderlands 1 with the mini-map, with all the advantages, with the 4-player co-op for $30. Buy it now, folks. You won't... The OG of looter shooters, if you want to play listen, Borderlands laid the groundwork for the Destinies, for the Anthems, and the Divisions. So if without Borderlands, you probably wouldn't have any of these. So let's give the OG respect. Go out there, support Gearbox Software, support this game. Go out and spend $30. It'll be the best $30 you ever spent. Let's move on to the next topic. Valve in the news once again, Salty. And I think this is where the salt shakers are going to come out. They just announced the Valve Index VR set to launch in June 2019. And it appears, Salty, that VR isn't going anywhere, especially in the PC side of gaming. And really, to be honest with you, it's surprising that Valve would get into the game this late. Salty, is it a little too late for Valve in this VR business?
Well, if VR is going to exist in any ecosystem, it's got to exist on the PC spectrum. And I think it's fine on the PC, man. I've never said that it doesn't need to belong or exist on the PC ecosystem because people can build their rigs to fit, you know, the VR life, the lifestyle. You need to have a powerful system for this. And Oculus meets the demands that you need to have for a high-level system. There's all these facts out there. To reduce motion sickness, you need to have a smooth frame rate, 120 frames per second, to be precise. And the high level amount of fidelity, all this other stuff that doesn't exist when it comes to PlayStation VR. PlayStation VR is kind of an introductory headset that they produced to kind of get people introduced into VR gaming, but I think it's half-assed at best, and I don't think it belongs in the console space at this point because it's just not refined. I take a lot of crap for that, but I've always been at that. That's my opinion on the thing. I've tried the VR systems, and for me, it's kind of a niche market. I don't know if I would call it a fad, but it's just not there. It's never going to be mainstream in the console realm, in my opinion. I think that cloud streaming and cloud gaming is going to be mainstream before VR would ever be on consoles. And I think that's just an easy opinion for myself, because VR, it disconnects you from the world. The content's not there. It's bulky. I got wires hanging out and stuff like that. But when it comes to this system for Valve, I mean, if people want to buy it, that's fine. But when they have options like Oculus and HTC that are already established, why would you go out and buy this Index, right? Like, why? What's pushing me to buy this Valve Index VR when I could go buy an Oculus? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It is what it is. It's just another option.
Well, I mean, listen, I agree. It's another third-party peripheral. If you're into VR, maybe they'll have something to it that the others don't. But it's Valve. You know, look, I'm going to say this, okay? Now, when I think of Valve in 2019, all I think of is the VR that they're in, this journey that they're embarking on, and Steam. And I think that's really sad. Simply because I would like to have remembered Valve when they made games. Portal, Left 4 Dead, and Half-Life. And the company has did a complete 180. And it really is a shame. It really, really is a shame that when you think of Valve, all you think of is Steam. And now all you're going to think about is VR. And that's shitty. I'd like them to get back to being keep what you're doing, but come back to gaming. And you know what? We're never going to get a Left 4 Dead 3. I don't think we're ever going to get a Half-Life 3. And I don't think we're ever going to get a Portal, whatever. And that's terrible for gaming. But let's move on to the next topic, Salty. PAX East was this weekend. A lot of smaller titles got a lot of press, got a lot of play, long lines, and one of them was a 2D side scroller called Cyber Shadow, and it's a new retro style 2D platformer that's being published by Yacht Club Games, known for Shovel Knight, and developed by Mechanical Head Games. The game had long lines at PAX East and was considered one of the best new retro games to come out at this very, very big fan-driven event. Salty, it looks like a perfect title for the Switch. But more than that, it looks like Yacht Club Games and the developer have another winner on their hands. Is this a day one purchase for you?
Man, I love these type of games. I know a lot of people in our community talk shit about these retro games, like the retro style, and they're like, man, if I wanted to go play these retro games, I'd go back into the past. The past is the past, and this and that. I'm like, you guys are full of shit, man. These games are still they're still fun, right? I mean, it's kind of a mix between Shadow of the Ninja and Ninja Gaiden and some other shit. These games are fun. They have a place, and especially on the Switch, I think it's a perfect place to play these on the go, man. You have some time, just pop that in, play some levels, man. I love playing these games, man. It looks like it's right up my alley, honestly. And I'll be picking this game up because it just looks fun. Like, to all the naysayers out there that don't want to play these old type games, I mean, why are you buying retro consoles and shit, man? I mean, they're new experiences and they're fun. Like, every game doesn't need to be the same, okay? I mean, we need new offerings and try some of the old things, but like, this is cool, man. This game looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking forward to it. I loved Shovel Knight, and I love what this game looks like. It looks like a throwback. Again, I'm an older gamer, so I remember playing these games. I remember the Bionic Commandos and the original NES stuff or the Super NES stuff that made you a fan of the industry at the time, you know, the Contras, the Ghouls and Ghosts, you know, those types of games. I don't mind playing a retro game. I mean, listen, that's the great thing about this era of gaming. You folks, listen, appreciate what's in front of you. Coming from a dude that's been gaming for over 40 years, where when I started, it was sticks and dots, and you had to use a Pong thing. Oh, it wasn't even a controller, okay? Be grateful that you can go on your console right now and play a game that looked like it came out in 1982 and then shut that off and then go play something like Red Dead Redemption 2. Be grateful you can do that. And I like supporting the smaller developers. I like supporting small companies like this, and I'm going to buy this day one. But you know what? Let's move on to a very alarming piece of news. In a story that I pulled from industry.biz, they are reporting, and this is thanks to you, Salty, because you sent this to me. GameStop just posted a $773 million full year loss. And the specialty retailer acknowledges the challenges facing our pre-owned video game business need to change ASAP. Salty, this is bad news, and it could be the nail in the coffin that causes the company to close their doors. Now, I know many people in the chat, or many people that are going to be listening to this later on, don't really like GameStop. And I'm going to say this. I understand why, right? Their practices, not the best consumer friendly, especially when you're trading your stuff in. But at the same time, it would be a sad day in gaming if it closes. Now, I want to throw this out there, and I said this in an unboxing video I did in the beginning of the week. You remember, toy stores used to be a thing until Toys R Us closed down. And now the kids that used to love the parents taking them to Toys R Us, it was like a Disneyland for them. They don't have that anymore. You know, you have smaller stores that have it, but it's not the same. So before we start wishing GameStop to close, because you got to remember, there's still employees that are going to be out of a job. We don't want that. The economy is tough enough as it is. But there won't be that video game store that offers these midnight launches where you can go and hang out with other gamers you don't know and just talk shit with. So, you know, Salty, first of all, what are your thoughts on this? And this is this very bad news for GameStop?
Wow, I'm just blown away how this company could have almost $700 million in losses in a year and still be around. Like, how are they not bankrupt at this point? Like, they're just bleeding, gushing losses at this point. The writing's on the wall. They try to sell the company, and then some of the people that were trying to buy it probably saw how crappy the business model was for this, and they're like, oh, okay, we're not doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? So then it's just, they're not going to be around for much longer, folks. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are celebrating that because of the anti-consumer practices that they did. I understand the nostalgia and everything like that, but I just think it's a sign of the times, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever way you want to look at it. We're just in a digital age right now, and kind of some of these interactions that we had, Boom, you know, these experiences that we had, it's going to be a distant memory. And unfortunately, some of the gamers these days, they're never going to know any of that. Like, they're going to hear some of these stories, and it's going to be like hearing some stories from your grandparents back in the day. Oh man, I used to pay a nickel for a hamburger and all this other stuff, right? you hear that and you're like, wow. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't imagine that. And then you're going to tell your stories about going to GameStop and waiting in a line that goes and wraps around the building for Call of Duty, and then these kids are going to be like, what? You went to go to a store and spoke to people that you didn't know, and you bought a physical game disc? Like, this is going to be foreign territory for these people, and that's just the way it is, man. We're going into this cloud space and digital gaming, and it seems like the GameStops of the world, the toy stores and all this other stuff, they're just getting phased out, and that's an unfortunate thing. But it's just the way things go. Lots of things change. I mean, you talk to people, like I said, you talk to some people that were around in the 50s. There's so much stuff that doesn't exist anymore on those levels, and it's changed and gone away. So yeah, GameStop had some good memories for me, but I also remember the body odor that was coming from the lines and all this other stuff. So it is what it is. And I remember trading in some games and getting shit for them. So am I going to cry for GameStop when they go away? Probably not. I mean, I'll have the memories, the good memories, and hopefully there'll be some other venue for gamers to get together and celebrate gaming. But I don't know. It is what it is, I guess, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, you know, we get frustrated with these companies. We wish them away, and then when they're gone, you kind of do feel it. I mean, I still enjoy going to GameStop. I like Game Informer magazine. I get a lot of points, dude. Like I'm always getting points on my card. I'm almost at 100,000 points lifetime that I've gotten from GameStop with all the deals and the trades and this, that, and the third. So, I mean, listen, again, before we start wishing them away, let's also think there are the ramifications of that. You know, you're going to have thousands of people without a job, and you're also going to close the only dedicated gaming store, at least here in the Americas. I don't know, you know, a game still exists in Europe, and I don't know how people feel about that, but I would actually be sad. But I got to tell you, Salty, this has been one hell of an episode. We got in all 18 topics. And I have to say, I'm completely blown away. First, I have to thank the chat for being awesome, as usual. Lethal Papa in the chat, policing, doing his due diligence to make sure that the trolls and a-holes stay out. And it apparently looked like in fact, that happened. So thank you for that. Also, the super chats, I can't thank you enough for that. You guys are very generous, and it's greatly appreciated. And of course, I have to thank Salty for being here. 90 minutes of gaming talk with you is always awesome. But you know what? You have a big show coming up tomorrow night and a lot of stuff to talk about. You're constantly doing videos on your channel. Please tell everyone where they can sub your channel, more specifically, listen to you. And, you know what? Tell the story real quick about what happened with that. That's a very sad. That's a very sad thing because I loved your opening song. I thought it was really well done, and you had to take it down.
Yeah, there's this thing called fair use on YouTube, and plain and simple, it doesn't exist for the most part. Fair use is whatever these companies deem. Content ID finally found the song after 3 weeks. And apparently, you know, it's weird because it's a piano tune. You know what I'm saying? I could play this on my piano, and Titan Drago did completely different lyrics, right, to Benny and the Jets. But since it has that piano tune, I think it was MGM or whatever studio, they claimed it, right? So just for that opening, just with the piano tune with his lyrics, they claimed the whole 2 hours of the podcast. So obviously, from just a plus and minus standpoint, that can't happen. So unfortunately, that intro song is going to be going bye-bye. You could still listen to it on Titan Drago's channel. He does great work. Me and him are talking right now, and we're going to try to develop an original song to go with the show. So stay tuned for that, because he's a very talented dude. We're doing a giveaway on the channel, 2 copies of Mortal Kombat 11. I have the details of that on my Twitter account. We just hit 3,000 followers on Twitter. That's amazing. Nice, dude. So thanks for all the support there. What else? Yeah, the Saltiest Gaming podcast tomorrow. Great topics, man. You think that we hit 17 topics today, man? Well, I got 17 more for you guys tomorrow. Like,
I love it.
The news this week is crazy. Every time I'm going on my Twitter account, I'm like, holy shit, that's a great topic. That's a great topic. That's a great topic. Because it's just right now we're revving up for E3. Okay, E3 is just around the bend, so we're gonna get a lot of rumors, a lot of leaks, a lot of news stories, and that's just the way it is. So the Saltiest Gaming podcast is going to be going tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern as usual, and that's about it. That's all I got going on, man.
Well, listen, again, thanks for being here, dude. This is this podcast, we had over 100 people watching live, which is amazing. We're averaging over 100 per show, regardless of what channel it's on, and that means that you guys are here and you're enjoying the content. So thank you for the massive support on this new trek that me and Salty did at the beginning of the year. And we love being here. We love being here every Wednesday. We both look forward to it. So listen, thanks again to the chat. Thanks again to the super chat. Thank you, Salty. And of course, we will see you next week. Yes,
sorry. Real quick, let us know the feedback on social media or in the comments. What you guys like, what you don't like.
Yes, good point.
Hear both of those things, right?
Yes.
DMs are open on Twitter, or you could put the comment on YouTube. It's on both channels. We want to improve the show. We want to hear back from you guys. We love hearing the positive and the negative. We just want to make this show the best possible. So
yes, absolutely. Great point. Hey, listen, folks, we take criticism good and bad. And you don't have to be mean about it. If you have a criticism and you want something changed on the show, maybe we're doing too many topics. Maybe you want us to, cut it in half and go more detail. This is a news program, so it's got to be fast, right? We got to have a shit ton of topics. And you know what you're going to get on this show? You're going to get a lot of topics that people don't talk about because they're smaller and they don't generate, I guess, a lot of buzz with the community. Well, Salty and I think a little differently. Again, this is a news program. Some of the games we talked about today, you know about. Of course, you know about Mortal Kombat. Of course, you know about Smash Brothers. But did you know about the Burnout successor? No. Did you know about the small game from PAX East that's a 2D platformer?
Exactly.
No. So you're going to get some information that you normally wouldn't get. And that's what we want to do. We want to make the show fun and interesting and not the same old. So once again, thank you for being here. We will see you next week on Salty's channel for the next episode of Gaming News at Noon with Salty and Boom. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic day gaming.